Help in our township, we have Annette Parker, County Board 9. We got Steve Ballage. Everybody knows him. If they don't know him, they know what he sounds like. Okay. Mike Frizzalone. They're also County Board members. And I'd like to thank our township had some part in helping these three gentlemen get elected, re-elected. Well, two gentlemen and one lady. Our township committee people are very active, and we have Dave Palia, who's running for the fire board again. We have Victor Zach, who is on the Valley View School District as a trustee. We got, let's see, Annette Parker, of course, one of our committee people, County Board. Barb Delaney, I always forget her, so I got to put her in there. Lockwood Township Government, she's trustee there. We got Jim Louch, who's on the Lockwood Township Park District. And what a beautiful place this is, isn't it? And it's because of people like Jim. And there's Ryan, who's the general manager. We got Mike Lewandowski, he's not here tonight, but he's on the Lockport Township High School Board. We got Dan Keita, one of our committeemen. He's running for Ward 2 Lockport City Council. Stand up, Dan. And then some of our other elected officials here, Marie Roderick, where are you at? Stand up. Joey at Junior College, let's see. Are you running again?
No.
Your term's not up?
No.
Okay.
I have 2 more years yet.
Okay. We got Paul Siegel, he's on Lockport Township Fire Board also. And we got Henry Meter, he's also on the Lockport Township Fire Protection District. So we have a quorum for the fire board here now, right? 3 out of 5. We got Jim Eustace, he's the county board member, minority leader.
No, I'm not a leader. Mike is now.
Oh, Mike is now, okay. All right, you're retired now.
I'm just regular county board member.
Okay.
Frankfort Township trustee.
And my great pleasure to introduce Mayor Roger Clare again. And Roger is a perfect example of what a mayor should be.
Yes.
We all agree? All right. Thank you, Roger. Roger, again, is a gold sponsor for our event. Mayor Noak, he was a friend of the LTRO this year, so he sort of slacked off, so we're going to have to get on him. Paul Siegel was a silver sponsor for this event. Anderson Memorial Chapel, right on Renwick Road. They were a friend of Lockport Township Republican Organization. Also, HFK Entertainment Incorporated. You got them, right? Yeah. Okay, they're a friend of LTRO. Victor Zach, also friend of LTRO, as usual. Thank you, Victor. And let's see, am I forgetting anything, Barb? Yeah, I got the list here. But, you know, it's hell to get to know. You know, the second that it happens to you, you lose your memory. And I forget what the first thing is. But.
Don't we have a special guest this evening?
What's that?
Don't we have a special guest this evening?
Oh, yeah, I'm getting there. I haven't forgotten about Jeannie. High Point. Okay, High Point Apartments. Again, second year, also gold sponsor. Luann and Kathy, thank you. You work for them, right? I'd like to introduce Jeanne Ives, our guest speaker for tonight. As you all know, you know, she came very close to beating the other guy, I don't want to mention the name, with a fraction of the campaign funds. Jeannie did very well. And going back and looking at Jeannie's voting record, because I do that, Jeannie, okay? Jeanne has always and consistently voted for the taxpayers in their favor on every issue that came before her. And I can't say that about all the Republican state representatives, but Jeanne was very consistent. And you got any future plans? Or you don't want to say anything?
Not right now.
Not right now. Jeanne graduated from high school in South Dakota.
That's right.
She graduated from West Point Academy.
Yep.
Served in the Army as an officer, naturally. 6 years
Yes.
as state rep, candidate for governor. Did a very good job for, what was your budget, about $5 million?
Less than that. Right around 4.
About 4. And the other guy had over 100, right? Yeah, very impressive. And the only reason Jeanne got so many votes and almost beat the other guy is because I think people know she was consistent in her beliefs in voting, where the other guy would go back and forth, do little polls. I think if I vote this way, I'll get more votes, and I get the suburban housewives. And it didn't work out, you know. Yeah. So I'd like to introduce Jeanne. Why don't you come up here?
Thank you all for having me. I am on the College of DuPage Presidential Search Committee, and so we had a meeting tonight, so I'm a little bit late, so I apologize for that, but I'm happy to be here with you all. And thank you so much for inviting me, Pete. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to people about what's going on in the state of Illinois. I'm still very much into stirring the pot. You know, I think we need to keep doing that because the state's a disaster. And so here's what we've learned, right? We have learned that truly, 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 when the Democrats say that they're going to do certain things, guess what? They are going to do it. And so right out of the bat, what do we get? $15 minimum wage bill passed. Right out of the bat, before we have a budget, before we have anything else, $15 minimum wage. The signal to businesses in the central and southern parts of Illinois is that we need to move our businesses. We can't survive. Central and southern Illinois is not like the suburbs, it's not like Chicago. They cannot survive with a $15 minimum wage. Businesses already, I know of, already are planning to go across the border. And when you think about Illinois, pretty much east to west, what do you got? You got maybe 3 hours driving distance total. What does that tell you? Every single business is more than likely within an hour and a half of the border. And we have a very big border, and it's very porous right now as people bleed into other states. And so the direction that the Democrats are heading is going to be a disaster fiscally for the state of Illinois. A disaster. $15 minimum wage, progressive income tax, more spending, kick the can on pensions. How many people in this room are, you know, going to receive a public pension? I suppose there's a few of you, right? Good luck collecting. Good luck collecting. I'm telling you, he is kicking the can down the road, and in fact, we are very, very close to going to junk status. We are the worst state credit-wise in the nation, by a long shot. When we go to borrow money, it's 3 times worse than the next worst state for us to borrow money. And all of the Standard & Poor's, Moody's have been sending signals every single week. If you don't do something about your pension plan, if your budget doesn't do something more about the pension plan, if you're going to continue to kick the can on pensions, we cannot sustain you being one level above junk. They are ready to send us to junk level. When that happens, it'll get so much more dramatically worse, not just for the state of Illinois, oh, by the way, for Bolingbrook when they want to go lend money, for Lock Park, Port Township when they have to go do some road stuff, for any other public entity in the state. When we then go to borrow money, it's going to be that much worse for everybody. In fact, in some cases, it'll freeze up in some places. Or you'll get confiscatory rates like they have in Chicago. So the direction of the Democrats, look, they didn't lie to you. They didn't lie to you about what they were going to do. So the state's on a fiscal disaster. They've already agreed that they're going to give back pay raises for public sector employees that we can't afford. The AFSCME negotiation is going to give them everything they want and more, probably a $3 billion price tag over the next 4 years. So it's going to get dramatically worse. The $39 billion budget is going to be easily $3 to $4 billion over balance. Right now, you're still going to have $8 billion in unpaid bills, $250 billion in pension costs, and on and on and on. And meanwhile, you'll see no services coming out of any increase in taxes that they give you. It's all going to go to pensions or debt. It's not going to go to services because there is no money. But not only are we fiscally on the disaster, what are we? We're morally they're sending us down morally. So everybody knows about the 2 abortion bills, right? One of the abortion bills, late-term abortion, worse than New York. That bill is worse than New York's. Because it also says that non-doctors can perform abortions. It also says that private insurance must fund abortion. It also says that, let's see, what is the other one? Yeah, it also agrees with late-term abortion. It also means that taxpayers would pay for late-term abortion if they're on Medicaid or in the group health, okay? And then there's a separate bill to get rid of parental notification. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but right now, we've had parental notification. It really didn't get enforced until a few years ago. It dramatically decreased the number of teenage abortions that occurred, which is great. However, when they get rid of parental notification, you should understand this. It could be that a 12-year-old goes in and can get an abortion without the parents knowing it. Now, if you're a parent here and you have kids in school, you know you can't even give that student aspirin without a parental permission. In fact, we passed a bill last session that said that kids could apply sunscreen without a parental permission from now on. So it used to be you couldn't put on sunscreen at school without parental permission. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, but that's how closely we wanted parents involved. And 12-year-old is not some number I picked out of the batch. Actually, they did a study on the first year that we had taxpayer funding of abortion. And we only know about the first 6 months. The increase in abortions was over 1,700% increase in abortions paid for by the taxpayer last year so far for just the first 6 months. And the youngest abortion that was performed at taxpayer expense, that girl was age 12. So I'm not just making this up. And then what happened yesterday? What did the House do? Does anybody know? The House passed legislation that requires a segment of history devoted to specifically naming and heralding people that are lesbian, gay, bigender, transgender, bisexual, transgender, or questioning. It requires LGBTQ history lessons in all public schools. Requires. Now, what's alarming to me is that there were 3 Republicans who were there who didn't vote no. They didn't vote yes, but they didn't vote no. They went not voting. They went not voting. They didn't want to take a stand. But that bill passed. It'll fly through the Senate. It will go on Governor Pritzker's desk. And then what do you do? And then what do you do? This is where the state of Illinois is headed. In the toilet. And I know Mayor Clark wants me to get positive here, and I understand that. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you a little hope at the end. But we have to understand what we're dealing with here. Now, I believe I'm sitting in an area that has been represented by a Democrat, right? Okay, so who's your state rep? Natalie Manley. Okay, who's your state senator?
Pat McGuire.
Pat McGuire. Okay, good. All right. Another Democrat, Anderson. Okay, my point is, you have been represented by a Democrat for so long that the folks in this community have never had an honest town hall about what's going on in the state of Illinois. They've never really heard about the fiscal disaster. They've never heard about the moral disaster. Anytime Natalie Manley's going to a school board meeting or a school board, with other elected officials, she is parroting back the teacher union's talk. She's never challenging them. She's never about bringing out new facts or new anything. And so the problem here is that people don't know what they don't know. But I am hopeful. I personally think in the state of Illinois, I think there are more of us than there are of them. And by them, I mean the very far progressive left. I think there's more of us than there are of them. And that gives me hope. And I think things are going to continually get dramatically worse and people are going to start to ask questions. But I don't just think that. I actually know that. So I'm affiliated with Dan Proft's papers. There you go. So what do you guys have down here? Do you have South Cook News?
Herald News.
Herald News is Dan's. Yeah, Will County Gazette. Will County Gazette, right? So Will County Gazette did the expose on Lauren Underwood and her votes, right? The fact that she cheated on voting.
Belongs in jail.
Yeah, she belongs in jail. The fact that she is a fake nurse, did the fake nurse commercial, right? Okay, so those papers, we are making a difference. We are making a difference. Brand new state rep out of Naperville, Ann Stava Murray. She's already decided she's going to challenge Durbin. In fact, right after she won state rep, she said, I'm going to challenge Dick Durbin. She is a far progressive left. She wants Medicare for all. She believes in the new Green Deal. She, $15 minimum wage, all of it, Planned Parenthood supporter, you name it. She is far left. She lives in Downers Grove. Unfortunately, she went to Bennett Academy and then Dartmouth. Crazy. She actually thinks that she actually thinks she is so smart, so smart. So smart. In fact, I saw private text messages back and forth between her and somebody else who shared it with me, and she basically called her staffer, oh, she's just a C student. I mean, this lady's arrogant. She's 32 years old, arrogant as all get out. She's so arrogant that she said in an open Facebook comment that Naperville is full of white supremacists, and that she wished she lived in Oak Park. So we wrote a story about that. And from our one story, the legacy media followed it up with 13 other stories. 13 other stories. The Daily Herald brought her in, personally sat her down, had an interview, she refused to retract it. They wrote a scathing editorial about her. So I am convinced people don't know what they don't know. They don't know these people, they don't know the issues, and we have a mechanism now to get it out. And so that's what we're going to do. And here's another reason I know people are waking up. Our papers did a story about Park Forest, Illinois' property tax issue. Park Forest, according to the Illinois Tax Federation, and they do if you can go to their website, they do a really cool book called Tax Facts, and about every March they pull out and they do property tax assessments from around the state, and they take your standard $250,000 house, and they place it in 89 different communities, and they measure the property taxes in each one of those communities, and they figure out what's the effective property tax rate. Number one last year was Park Forest, Illinois. Park Forest, Illinois. A $45,000 home has a $4,500 property tax bill. 10% effective rate. Okay? Highest in the state. So we posted an article about 2 weeks ago about this Park Forest and their property taxes and what's happening in the south suburbs, because actually they're much worse off in terms of property taxes than any other part of the state. And a guy messages me on Facebook. He said, hey, can you help me out? I'm trying to change out the mayor in Park Forest. And I looked at the guy's profile. He was a union carpenter. I'm like, this is interesting. Because, they don't necessarily like Jeanne Ives. But I'm happy to have this conversation. So I called them up. I said, how can I help you? He said, look, we need to change things in Park Forest. You're right about that article. Things have got to change. I said, okay. I said, but here's the problem. You've been represented by a Democrat for decades. Your people don't know the truth. They don't know what's causing it, and they don't know how to make the change happen. They don't know what is the next step. So I said, I'll tell you what. I'll come down and I'll do a town hall with you. That'd be great. That'd be great. So March 23rd at noon at the Nathan Manilow Theater in Park Forest. I'm bringing in, not me, I'm bringing in the policy experts on property taxes, and we're doing a town hall. I guarantee you they have never heard the truth about property taxes until we do that town hall on March 23rd. And it all started because we did an article on it that they read. That's what we have to do. We have to take on the legacy media. We have to speak the truth on every issue. We have to show up at our school board meetings. We have to show up at our city councils. And it all starts locally. It all starts locally. Don't think of Natalie Manley as somebody as your state rep in Springfield. You know what? She lives in your community. Go after her. Go after them. Make them vulnerable. Make them answer for those abortion bills. Make them answer for their tax decisions. Make them answer about their unbalanced budgets. Make them answer. You can do this. You can do this. It's going to be a tremendous amount of effort. But if you think small and you go after them locally, and you go talk to her in her district, and you tell everybody else you know about what's going on, and you share and share and share again our stories, we will get change in this state. We will get it. But you got to be tenacious. I'll tell you what, did you hear the Sun-Times poll too? Did you hear that they did a poll and Donald Trump was more popular than Pritzker in that poll in the state of Illinois? Woohoo! Let's clap for that one, right? Did you hear that? Isn't that great? It's great. You know why? Because at least he's authentic. And Pritzker's not. He's a big fake. Little side story. So I grew up in South Dakota, a little town called Vermillion. I'm one of 6 children. And in the early 90s, 4 of us moved to Illinois for job opportunities, all in different areas. Well, do you know who else is from Vermillion, South Dakota, whose parents still live there? M.K. Pritzker. M.K. Pritzker grew up in Vermillion, South Dakota, population 5,000. College town, really nice little college town, University of South Dakota's there. So she grew up in there. And I'm telling you right now, she did not learn how to pull the toilets out of their second mansion to get a property tax break in Vermillion, South Dakota. No. She did not learn that here. No, that's what you learn in Chicago. And it still bothers me to this day that the Pritzkers have not been prosecuted, set before a grand jury, and indicted for a $330,000 property tax fraud that none of us would get away with. Right? It's a problem. I have a problem with it, so everywhere I go, I remind people that he cheated on his property taxes. He cheated on his property taxes. And we're going to keep talking about it until they do something else about it. We're not going to stop. All right? Another interesting thing about Vermillion, South Dakota is my sister's a realtor there. And last year, she had a couple from DuPage County contact her and say, hey, I want to look at property. So they drove 8 hours out to South Dakota, looked at 7 homes and bought one that same day. And my sister Sarah says to them, well, what brings you to Vermillion, South Dakota? You got a job here, you got family? Nope, we've never been here before. But we can't afford our property taxes in DuPage County, and we need an affordable place for our kids to go to college. So they left last year, became South Dakota residents, 0 property taxes. Zero income taxes, 1/2 the property taxes, an affordable place for their 5 kids to go to college. Right there at the University of South Dakota, it's got a great medical school, law school, business school. So they're there. But where are our college kids going? You've heard the latest report, I'm sure. Record outmigration still of high school students. Still. More are leaving than in previous years even though they decide to incentivize them now. So they've thrown a little bit of money in the pot. They've decided they want to attract kids to go to the University of Illinois, and we're going to put some money towards it. And still, people aren't buying it. Why? Because we're still the second highest among conference peers when you look at University of Illinois in what we charge for tuition and fees. Still number 2. And it's not because we lack in state support. I want to disavow you of anybody of that notion. The truth is, when you look across all the schools, or all the states, we are number 3 in the nation in terms of our level of state support per full-time equivalent. Number 3. It's just that 1/2 of that state support goes to pensions. Pensions. Now, it's also interesting, and it's something that I'm looking into, not for me personally, truthfully, not for me personally, but the truth is that they are not accepting our best students. A number of my son Joe is a 3-sport athlete out of Wheaton Warrenville South. He was MVP for football, starter on the basketball team. Now he's in the track season. He's a pole vaulter. He made it state last year. We hope he makes it this year. He applied to the University of Illinois, 32 ACT. Applied for engineering, waitlisted. His buddies with higher scores declined. Other friends with 35 ACTs, 36 is the match, declined entrance to U of I. So then Joe gets accepted to West Point. That's a pretty good school to get into. And it's an engineering school. So West Point took him, U of I, nah, we don't want you. Then he got a letter from U of I, congratulations. You've been accepted to their general studies program. And if you work hard enough, maybe we'll let you into engineering. This is what they're doing to our good kids. And this is a problem. They are a land grant institution. They are there to educate Illinoisans. In fact, their federal charter given to them back in the 1800s was to educate Illinoisans. That is what they are there to do. And so I tell you all of this because I just don't know how much more of these scams are we going to have to go through before we really revolt against the political ruling class. What more will it take? I don't know what to do either. All I know is that we've got to start locally. We've got to start locally. We have to make it personal. We have to start locally. I don't know where Manly goes to church. Every parishioner should know about her abortion stance. Every single one of them should know Pat McGuire. Sounds like he's a good old Catholic guy. I don't know where he goes to church. Every parishioner should know where he stands on abortion. They hide their votes. Don't let them hide from you. Don't let them speak out of both sides of their mouth. Hold them accountable. Hold them accountable. No good organization can succeed, from the CEO to the mailman. No good organization can succeed if you don't hold people accountable. And we have failed to hold people accountable because I truly believe there's more of us than there are of them. They just don't know. They just don't know. How many people truly would vote against their own self-interest? I don't think so. I think they don't know. And so it's our job, and it's hard work, it's our job to inform people. It's our job to inform people and tell them. They already have in Illinois also, their version of the new Green Deal was filed as legislation in the state of Illinois too. They are going, we have an opportunity here. Do you see the opportunity? Pritzker polls with less favorability than Donald Trump in Illinois. You've got the crazies out in Washington, D.C. You got Ocasio-Cortez going off the deep end. And you've got the Illinois Democrats following suit. You had the backlash in New York against abortion bills. Ours are worse. You've got New York Governor Cuomo saying, we're taxing them more, and they're leaving. We have that quote. It's exactly what's happening in the state of Illinois. We have so much good material to use against them. Will we? We've got to do it. This could be a change election in 2020. I really do believe it. I believe it could be a change election. But it's not going to happen if we don't get bold and start talking to people about exactly what's going on. Democrat, independent, whatever. You need to talk to people and you need to share stories and you need to tell us what's going on locally and let me know what's going on locally so we can write the stories that affect Lockport so we can affect change in the future. We have to do that. And then pick away at these local races and get that Will County board back into Republican hands and take over your townships and take over your municipalities and speak boldly. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I'm happy to take questions if anybody has questions.
Yeah, I got a quick question for you. And either in the end of April or May, one or the other, we're going to, county, they don't know this, but we're going to be doing Invest in Kids resolution to keep it going. If you don't know what Invest in Kids is, it's a program that the state already passed. It's like a voucher program, kind of, for conservatives. But anyway, I work with Mark Cravers.
Oh, Cravers?
I already got the resolution. I made it up last night. He said it's okay, and we got to move forward on it because every Democrat's going to vote no because of the teachers union.
Right.
And so now when they vote no, it's on video. I'm going to splice the videos and send it everywhere in the world. And my goal is to make embarrassing moments every single month for Democrats and the county board. So I'm inviting you to come because you're a better speaker than me. I might swear. If you come to our open forum at our county board meeting and speak in favor of Invest for Kids and why it was passed, that would give it a hell of a lot of credibility.
You know, send me the date, Steve.
I'm just
Let me know.
throwing it out
Let me know what's up. I am actually all over the state on Saturday.
It's a Thursday.
On this Saturday, I'm speaking to Southland
Well, this is a-
Republican Women's. I'm speaking to Clark County. I'm speaking to Crawford County, all on Saturday. So I am getting around. I am speaking. One other thing I didn't bring up. You know, you talk about kids. You talk about the teacher unions. Monday morning, I was at a breakfast with Illinois Family Institute. They sponsored it, but it was a breakfast with. They actually had the Chicago detective who's in charge of their high drug interdiction unit, whatever, I don't remember his fancy title. And they had some other police chiefs from around the area. They had some teachers there. I was told, I didn't know everybody in the room, and I spoke before them. And it was about the legalization of marijuana, and I'm absolutely 100% opposed to this. I'm 100% opposed to this. I've read the stuff coming out of Colorado. This is a total misnomer that it's going to solve any budget issue at all. $500 million does not even, it's 1/2 of the cost for the increase in pensions that they're asking for, and that pension cost is underreported by $4 billion already. So it's a drop in the budget. It does nothing. It does nothing. You do not want to destroy communities. But here's where we need to build coalitions, right? If the police chiefs don't want it, if the teachers don't want to be teaching kids that are high in the classroom, if the teacher unions don't want it, if the firefighters don't want to be responding to accidents of people that are driving high, if you get all those unions and they don't want it, why should a bill like that pass? It shouldn't. That's another thing that we should build a coalition around. You should talk to your local fire chief, talk to your local teachers unions, talk to your teachers. Get them on the record. Do you want legalization of marijuana in this state? Because you're going to be teaching kids that are disturbed by that marijuana. This is a horrible, horrible idea. It is a bill that must be stopped. We do not want legalization of marijuana here. It's a terrible idea. It's only there because the big boys want their cut of the marijuana business. And we don't even know who they are. We don't know who they are because that was not done in a transparent way. So, okay, any other questions? Yeah.
Two, if I could.
Okay.
You mentioned as far as the legislation requiring the history of the
LGBTQ history?
Correct. We had 3 Republicans that took a no vote. Why would our Republican chairman, Illinois Republican Party chairman, why not mention their names to educate the people? Why? I mean,
They're not going to do that. They're not going to call out their own.
but wouldn't that go a long way to bringing the vote?
Bringing what? Bringing accountability in our own party?
Yeah.
That's kind of a foreign thing.
So if we got
I mean, we attempted, my campaign was all about accountability in our Republican Party. That's what the governor's race for me was. That was an accountability measure. If we weren't going to hold him accountable for what he did to Republicans, then what are we about, right? So that was what our team was doing, holding him accountable. That's what we were about. And, you know, do I think we need to do that more? Yeah, we do. We need to do more of that.
Originate from the chairman of the Illinois Republican Party?
It's not going to happen, no. No, individual districts are going to have to hold them accountable. I gave you the information, though. Yeah.
I have one more question. You mentioned that I think everybody in the room would like to, you know, see him retire, whatever. Who should the Republican Party bring forth that has name recognition and has the political stature that would get the people in Illinois to stand behind them for a candidate in the Republican Party?
We'll see. We'll see what's going to happen there. I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah. It's a daunting race. I mean, look, the guy's got millions and millions of dollars. He's got a lot of political capital. We may be able to extract somewhat of a revolt in 2020, but to take out somebody like Durbin is a monumental task. There's nobody who's more offensive than him, quite frankly. Yeah.
I just made a comment. You were mentioning about the intellectuals who are voicing their soul. I remember that the intellectuals were the ones that started the Communist Party.
So he brings up a good point. He talked about the intellectuals that are foisting some of this garbage on Illinoisans, and he's not far off. Because you have the Civic Committee of the Commercial Club, you've got the Federal Reserve, right? You've gotten Cranes in their business editorials. You've got the Civic Federation. You've got nearly all of these big thinkers in Chicago, these captains of industry, these folks that think that they do a lot of policy stuff. You've got all of them saying, yeah, you know what, Illinois needs to raise taxes. All of them. Illinois needs to raise taxes. I mean, you had the Federal Reserve suggest a 1% property tax statewide for 30 years to pay for pensions. You had the Civic Committee suggest also that we go for a progressive tax. You've had Civic Federation also suggest increased taxes. Look, these guys are the political elite. They're the economic elite. They want all those taxes, and
They don't have to pay the $15.
well, I mean, so this is the problem. They don't live in the real world like we do. They're sheltered from any anything bad that would happen from it. They can afford to pay the more taxes. We can't. So you know, that is a conundrum, and so we need to call them out too whenever we possibly can.
Any other questions? Oh, go ahead.
Are you going to consider running again?
You know, I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no.
I wouldn't expect a definite answer, but
I'm not saying no, but you know, I tell you what, the next 4 years will be very telling for this state. Is there any way? Is there going to be a revolt, or is there not? I mean, the next 4 years are that's it. I mean, really, the next 4 years tell you everything.
I think you got a chance after 4 years of JV.
Oh, well, thank you, but, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the next 4 years are gonna be dicey. I still have a daughter who's a freshman in high school, but we'll see, we'll see.
If not you, who else?
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll be you. Thank you again. Thank you for having me.
Oh, two more things. Barb is having the last call on the raffles, so if anybody wants to buy a raffle, she's going around buying them. And another thing, we have a late visitor, George Pearson. He's our new Will County Republican Central Committee Chairman. Stand up, George. George made history as the first African-American county chairman, at least Republican chairman in Illinois. So congratulations. We're starting to get some fresh blood in our party. Okay, John, our vice chairman, wants to say something.
Thanks, Pete. You know what? I was looking at, thinking about what Jeanne, what you had to say, and want to thank you for the insightful information. But remember, 4 years from now, your daughter is going to be in college. Okay, so think about that. But since in the past 5 years, we have had an exodus of about 100,000 people from the state of Illinois to leave the state. 100,000 people with their businesses and their families, and the brain drain is actually showing itself already. But in the past year, for 2018, 47% of that 100,000 left. So almost half of the 100,000 over a 5-year period left. So we've had a 0% growth in the state of Illinois. So people are discouraged and they're fed up and they're leaving. But as Jeanne pointed out, we can do something about it. What we have here, right now, are people that are determined to make a difference. I mean, isn't it a lot easier to get involved? I mean, this is just a general question because you all are here, you're involved. Half of life is showing up, you're here. But I'm saying, just generally speaking, isn't it easier to be involved a little bit to make a difference than compared to the cost of upping and leaving, right? Okay, so I think that change can happen if we stay and we come together. I want you to know that there was a fellow, a businessman right here in town, who said, John, I give up on Illinois. It's a lost state. Only God can help the state of Illinois. And I said to him, you know what? God works through people. He works through people. It's not magic. He works through people. And so we're here. We're here now because we're trying to make a difference. You're supporting Lockport Township Republican Organization. And as Jeanne pointed out, it's a grassroots contest. It's a grassroots concept. And so what we have here is an opportunity to make a difference. We are so pleased that you came to our annual event, our annual fundraiser, and you have made a difference. So I said to my friend, God works through people, and we need you. We have a chance to make a difference. Right now, everything, as Jeanne pointed out, everything that's wrong with the state is all on the Democrats now. They have no one to blame but themselves, and they will cannibalize each other as they continue because it seems to be their way. But in the meantime, at the grassroots level, right here in Lockport Township, we have a plan. We have to be determined based on funding and support, and you are a great encouragement because you're here tonight. But we have a plan to take back our township. And we have a few people, a few brave souls that are willing to stand in the gap and make a difference. We just needed to know that there's other people behind us that are willing to support. So my friend, my business friend, first name Bruno, said, well, if that's the case, all right, I'm in. He's one of our sponsors tonight. Thank you, High Point Apartments. And several others that have sponsored tonight have stood in the gap and helped us with some funding to help us to make a difference so that the people that are willing to stand in the gap at the grassroots level that Jeanne's talking about know that there's people behind them, because everyone is shrinking from the melees of foolishness that's going on. We're shrinking, we're hiding, we're dodging it, we don't even know what to do. I feel like I'm blinking, you know, it's like, don't hit me, don't hit me. But it's insane, but we can make a difference, and God works through people. So we want to thank you for coming and supporting the Lockport Township Republican Organization. You're going to hear more about some of the things we're doing and some of the people that are willing to stand in the gap. But because you came and you supported and you're here, you're making it possible for the encouragement to continue. Thank you very much. A round of applause to yourselves.
I want to introduce George Pearson, just a minute, George. But I want to talk about an important race at the township level. It's Lockport Township Fire Board. Right now, we have the ex-president of the Firefighters Union, Todd Randage, on the fire board. He's also gotten another active fireman to run this election, along with the wife of another fireman who's off on workers' comp. It's a 5-man board, so if John Bodisich and I forget her last name, Casa Grande, if they get elected along with Todd Randage, the firemen union will be running the fire board. And by state law, the fire boards are the only ones that can have an active fireman on the fire board. So if for those of you who live in Lockport Township, please support Dave Palia and Henry Meter. Otherwise, the firemen are going to be controlling the fire board. And then when you're on a board, I always tell people, the responsibility of a trustee is to the taxpayers first. Those 3 firemen, or a wife of a fireman, they're going to be voting for the best interest of the firemen, not the taxpayers. So I want you to get that word out in Lockport Township. Henry Meter, Dave Palia for Lockport Township Fire Protection District. Okay, now George wants to say something, and then we're going to draw the raffle.
Good evening, everyone. Ooh, that's loud. 3 minutes timing. That's what I'm after, is to get everybody encouraged, get them involved, because that's something that's been lacking within the Republican Party across Will County. So one of the things that we have been doing is encouraging people to run for the school boards, because they have, one of the things the Democrats have done, have designed their bench teams from those boards, from the fire protection, from the police commissions, from your village trustees, college boards. That's where their bench team comes from, our Will County board members, to start moving into these state rep positions. This is what we're doing. So I've encouraged folks over on the east side of the county to actually get involved on the school board. We're running some folks that are getting ready, getting prepared for the trustees, also in some of those villages. If we don't take it back from a local level, we will be ruined. We're not there yet. Illinois has a chance. We have the roadway. We should have the infrastructure. I don't know, I was kind of scared coming across that bridge on 80. I'm looking for a different way back home. But we've got politicians that have been sitting in office for decades that have ignored both the 7th Street and I-80 bridge. They're both rated at, I think, a 6 is what I heard. Do you know what that means? Absolutely. If you want to make a difference, get started now. This is paramount, people. Getting these gentlemen elected on these boards control the tax base. How much is the average firefighter making over here in Lockport Township? How much is this? Yeah, pension. That's what's killing us. Pay attention to it. Look, don't get me wrong. I served as a police officer. I served in the United States Navy. I get it, that you want to be able to take care of some of these folks with the pension. But it got to the point that we're taking care of them in the salary as well as in their pension. We can't afford both. We can't. One of the reasons why they're not on Social Security is because then the state or the municipality will now have to treat them as an employee and meet that burden, have that match into Social Security. So one thing that most municipalities in the state has done for a long time has pulled money out of those funds where they have contributed in most cases up to 8-9%. But that's what's hurting us. We've got to take back a lot of these local boards and get our bench back up and running so that we can go and take back the State House. And I mean both the General Assembly, but both the State Senate and the Legislative District. That is where the control is coming from. But Natalie Manley to put out a piece of legislation that went through Rules Committee within a week to eliminate every single township clerk, elected or appointed, that should give each and every single one of us pause. So the next question becomes, who are we planning to run against her and get her the hell out of office? Excuse me. We've got to do it. You have to have a bench in order to run these folks up. Someone that has built up name recognition. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Are you with me? Let's go get it. Thank you.
Thank you, George. We have two different things that we're going to be doing tonight. First of all, that everybody, and I'm pretty sure most of you had bought a chance for the raffle basket. If you did not, I'll give you another minute. I think we're good. Okay. And then also, when you came in and you filled out your cards, Jim Lausch was kind enough to get some door prizes donated. So I would ask Jeanne Ives if you would like to come up here, and we'll have you select the ticket for, first we're going to be doing the basket. So if you don't win, it's Jeannie's fault.
Slow motion on that.
Oh, you got it.
Here you go.
Let's go with that, and then we'll drop. Woo! Okay, I'm just going to read the last 3 digits, which is 284.
I have it.
Okay, good. And we also have 3 door prizes, and I took a peek, and they are gift cards from Lockport Township Park District. So it's good for the Mulligan's restaurant here, which is perfect. So we have 3 of those. So Jeannie, you can pick the first one. Okay, I'm going to read a name here. Okay. Hopefully it's not like Polish and I can't pronounce it. John Barbush.
Actually, it's 4.
Oh, it's for Richard Anderson. John Barbush for Richard Anderson.
And your number 50 times worse.
Paul Siegel. Henry Meter.
Okay, again, thank you everyone for coming this evening, and I'm going to hand the microphone back to our chairman.
Okay, there again, yeah, thanks everybody for coming. And I just want to point out that today's local politician is tomorrow's state or federal politician. So it's important for us, and we do, our township organization supports our local candidates. Like Dan Kita, the guy running for Lockport City Council Ward 2, we got him involved. We're helping him
Oh, wow, you did?
with campaign strategy,
I told
literature,
him,
signs.
I told him like you
And
were
that's
gone,
what
and
we
I actually
do.
won something.
And
Oh my
I
gosh.
think we need to concentrate more on our township too, you know. I was a little disappointed, the county-wide candidates, all invited here, we got signatures for them, we gave them money, we handed out literature, not one of them showed up, you know. And I hate to badmouth the Republican, but you know what, we're going to start concentrating on township candidates. You have my word. All right. Thank you, everybody, for showing up.